fitness with New Method Wellness.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming. I just found out I found out a while ago we have a mutual friend.
A lot of them, but who?
Oh, of course we do have a lot of them. I know. I don't know if we ever talked about the fact that I got sober at the Costa Mesa meeting.
Yeah.
Isn't that,
Same.
yeah, isn't
hmm
that funny? I'm
hmm
sure we went to the Saturday morning meeting a lot.
The 9:30 with Velvet. Yeah. hmm Yep.
So, thank you for coming. Today is our first day of this recording this new podcast. And we just came up with this idea to, I don't know, just kind of give back. We've been doing this for a long time in treatment, and I just thought, like, people that I respect their recovery and who
hmm
they are, and I thought it'd be fun to interview them. And I don't, maybe something you say will, like, somebody out there will hear, and it will help them find some sort of relief.
That is the hope.
Yeah. So tell us, like, what you are known for.
Gosh, I don't know. It's hard to tell me. It's hard for me to tell you what I'm known for. What do you think I'm known for?
Oh, a question with a question. Look at
Yeah,
you.
because I'm myself. God, I don't know. It's hard to see yourself.
I think you're known for this really big spirit of like putting all of your life force into helping people help themselves.
Hmm, that's good. I like that.
So you wrote a book called Punished for Purpose.
Yep.
Tell us about
2010.
what that was like to write that book.
Horrific. So I started because I speak all over the world, and every time you speak, people pile up in line. They want to talk to you, but they're always saying, "Oh, this you should write a book. You should write a book." So I thought, "Oh my God, it's hard to get through it in an hour, but at least it's only an hour, and then you're out." And then, of course, you end with the happy part, so you feel better, and then you're grateful. You're glad you went. It's kind of cathartic, but writing a book is a whole different thing, and I on the first page of my book, um, I think and I wrote my book like I talk, because a lot of people are like, did you have a ghostwriter? Actually did. When I used the ghostwriter, I read it. It wasn't even my voice anymore. So I started over with my regular thoughts. But the first page says something like, I I lived this life once, and the last thing I want to do is relive it again through writing it so that you understand it. But if it saves one life, I guess it's worth it. But what happened was I started on it, and then in the middle, it was so dark, like working the streets and being kidnapped, raped, that I couldn't write it. And I stopped for 6 months to a year.
Wow.
And then I decided, when I'm speaking and I'm in the end, I feel really good that I spoke. Why don't I write the end first? So I wrote the
Oh,
whole
wow.
happy end. Yeah. And then I went back to the middle after I knew the happy place. Took
That's
me
it.
5 years. Mhm.
I have a friend who wrote a really famous book, and she was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. And she said she wrote a perfect paragraph every day for 5 years.
That's what it's like. Yeah. So I would go to my spot, which is in a library, local library by the fireplace. And so many days I would only write a paragraph. And I think I wrote that on the first page too. There were some days I could only write one line. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said the thing about it too was that it's just like I remember I called her one time and I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "I had to write about rape all day today, and I can't leave the house. I can't look at people. I can't talk to people. I don't know what to say to my kids when they come home."
Mhm.
She wrote about the Armenian genocide.
Wow. 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 Yeah. It's
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
Super.
So it was pretty intense. But what was it like for you when you were writing those dark pieces?
Well, it's interesting. I had some of them, it's dark. You processed it a little bit,
Yeah.
can't process the whole thing. But then there were other parts which I realized I thought I never thought about these other parts. They were just things that happened. But as I'm writing them, I'm crying.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, oh my God, this really impacted me. I just didn't know it.
You're like,
It's
where was this stuck?
hmm?
Where was this stuck? These
What do
tears.
you mean?
I mean,
What?
like there are times when I will just start crying about something that I didn't think I was really dealing with anymore, and I think like, where was it stuck? Was it like hiding in my
I
knees?
think it was the way I processed it. So when I was a kid, I was kind of naive. I hadn't had sex yet or anything like that. And I ran to the river with a bunch of friends. An older bad man got a hold of me when I was separated from my friends, uh, raped me and kidnapped me, took me to a house like in Bakersfield. It was really bad. And I ultimately got home. And when I went to juvenile hall, I was pregnant with his baby. And I had to lie to everyone and tell him it was from my boyfriend because I didn't want to tell anyone I was raped, which is a whole nother upper that I'm working through in the book and the movie book, right? The hiding of it because we feel it's our fault. But the night that it happened, the night that I got home and I was trying to process it and wash it off, I looked in the mirror and said, I don't know if you can cuss on this thing. Can you
You
cuss
can.
on this?
You can do
Oh,
whatever
okay.
you want.
I looked in the mirror and said, man the fuck up.
Oof.
Like,
How old were
stop being
you?
a stop being a baby. Um, 15 or 16, I don't know. 15 probably. Yeah, 15. Yeah. So when I did that, I just went boom, down, gone. Yeah. But I didn't realize it until I was writing.
Wow.
Mhm.
So when you were writing it's almost like experiencing it again.
Yeah. I saw my major flaw in that moment and processed it instead of making it go away.
Yeah.
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 But no, not by choice. Like I am not one to go, hey, let's go to group therapy today. Hey,
Yeah.
I want to go see. I am not like I'm the one that made fun of the crybabies in the like I have a scene like that in my movie where it's like the movie is like we're working on it now. And it's from the book as well, where it's like, shit, like all this stuff happened so long ago. Why are you guys all crying? Like, it's like, I can't even take it anymore. Man up. I was like, man up to everyone. Like, this is just some stupid crying baby ass therapy that I don't even want to be part of. Right. But then at some point you break.
Yeah. Yeah. Like how
Yeah.
long can you push it down?
A long time if you're me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think that people misunderstand about you the most?
That I'm not like some superhero four-leaf clover thing. Like they're like, well, you can pull it off, but I can't. But it's no, it's not like that. I have a very ordinary life and mindset. I am unreasonable about God giving me new assignments. And I'm writing a book on that, my fourth book on that right now. And it's when someone calls you and says, we need you today or this weekend, DeAnna, and you're like, shoot, I worked all week. I'm exhausted. I haven't had a weekend off. It's not a program request. Do I need to say yes? All that stuff may happen in my head, but then I say yes.
Yeah.
Like right now, like you're like, can I be in my podcast? And we've been jamming on the script all week. I'm exhausted. And I'm just like, yes, of course.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so,
You just,
thank you
you just
so
got to
much
say the
too.
yes. It's all about saying the yes. Because you know what, when something comes in your life, whatever it is, and I'm not saying say yes to everything. I can't help other people create their
Right.
charity, all of them. So I made a podcast. I came up with a way to do it. But when it's an assignment, when it's something that's just out of left field, and I don't listen to all those excuses, I just say yes. And those yeses, you're going to find out in my next book that all were no's in my head
Wow.
were all the difference.
Uh, my sponsor always says, like, people will say, can you sponsor me? And she'll say, I don't have time. But then she says to her higher power, if you want me to do this, you have to give me the energy because I can't do it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, yeah, come over on Friday. Something just opened up. And
Yeah.
it's all about like surrendering to what we're really supposed to be doing.
Right. Or find it because I don't sponsor much because of but I never say no. I tell them the truth. Okay. I'm really super busy. You may text me that you're suicidal and you'd be pure bones by the time I call you back. You'd be deteriorating. But if you can deal with that, that I can't always answer a text or a call, then I'll sponsor you.
And it's almost like, I don't know, like probably not as many like newcomers that need to talk to every day anymore. Are you a perfect fit for?
Hmm.
But if somebody's been sober 20 years and they'd want to check in and do some step work with you,
Yep.
it would work.
Yeah.
That's funny. Sometimes I'll say no to sponsoring, and then like they'll call me every day, and then I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm already sponsored. I'll forget that I told them no because they're so
Yeah.
persistent, and I
Yeah.
keep answering their stuff.
Yeah.
Did you read that book, A Year of Yeses?
No, I don't read much.
No, not a big
No,
reader.
no, because I'm uh I'm always creating. So to get the time down to read happened in a long time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll send it to you, and if you have time, you can read it. Do you ever listen?
Maybe
I never listen to books, but I hear a lot of people say they like
in the
it.
car. In the car, I'll listen, but it's short stints.
Okay. What do you think
Hmm.
your biggest failure was, and what did you learn from that failure?
Oh my goodness. Getting my daughter taken away, of course. Like the most important thing in my whole life. My daughter was like everything in my life that had went wrong was going to be okay now that I had a child. But of course, that was addiction and it was the trauma I hadn't processed. It was mostly those two, but everything, it was the poison that was within me from my childhood, still carrying it, that drove me to addiction and trauma and neglect and God only knows what. But I mean, it's not really a failure when you look at it now.
And that's kind of what got you to fostering children, right? When your daughter was taken away, was that the segue?
No. Well, my daughter was taken away. I had to spend a year in rehab to get her back, and I did it. And then I got a job and I got her back. But then I was scared to leave rehab. I'd been there a year because we had all these groups and the girls were around me. So I started a meeting at my house. At that time, there was a men's group called Dog on the Roof. I think they still exist. And I didn't like them because I had a crush on some guy in Dog on the Roof. And he said, until you get a reasonable amount sober, I won't even think about it. And I was like, F you. So I named my group Pussy on the Porch to piss off Dog on the Roof. And it was a women's group. And it was a lady that came to the women's group with her daughter because everyone was bringing their daughters and sons. And my daughter would take the kids and I would take the parents, right? The women. She needed rehab and she was living in a crack house. Trick drove her to the meeting. It was just like, oh, this is a mess. And she had a 12-year-old. So I said, I'll watch your daughter. You go to the place. I told the Trick where the place is to take her. And she ultimately died. So that's how I started being a foster parent. I applied. They said, hell to the no. Have you seen your record lately? And I'm like, oh my God. So one of my old tricks. Oh no. It was her mom's trick. I somehow manipulated him into paying for guardianship. Somehow. I still had some street skills. I was fresh off the
Right.
street. But then kids kept on coming and then they waived my record.
Do you think how many kids have you fostered?
46.
46. Last time I think we talked about this, it was like 37.
Maybe. Yeah. 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 Because we only met once during all this time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So now it's 46.
Hmm.
And some of them you've like adopted, right?
No. So all of my kids are my kids for life. Like they still, just like your kids, they still call me for money and help and stay at the house or whatever they need or watch the grandkids. But I couldn't do that to my daughter. My daughter was already upset that I had all these kids. She never quite understand that was a breakout. This is a breakdown that happened when my daughter was 30. I never knew that she felt insignificant because all these kids were in the house until she started having kids and had a meltdown on them. So, but even as a child, I knew if I was to adopt them all, then it would crush her. And if I had to pick one, I have to adopt all of them. You know?
Right, right. Well, that makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I think my son, my 18-year-old son, he has said to me before, like, why do all these sponsees have to spend the night and their kids? Like, one
Yeah.
of my sponsees just left her husband and she has a 14-month-old and they stay in our guest and there's plenty of room. So I don't really understand what, and like, he doesn't have to see them or anything, and
Mhm.
he's just like, Mom, it's just like, but people don't do this that I know. They don't have people living with them and staying with them. And we've always had that.
Yeah. God only knows if only I didn't even think if I asked my daughter back in those days if she would have known she was resentful. It festered and then it came out when she had her own kids. So God only knows. Look, I got one thing that I say all the time. You're
Right.
never going to escape parenthood without some damage.
Well,
They're all going to be pissed off at something. Like
people say
we
to me
know, even
all the time
yeah,
as a therapist, they say, Deanna, I don't want to fuck up my kids. And I say, oh, you will.
you're going to fuck them up. Yeah,
Just
you
get
are.
a jar and start putting dollars in it. And then when
Yeah,
they turn like 15, send them to therapy with your dollar jar.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you are going to fuck them up. Everybody fucks up their kids. Maybe not as bad as you were. And
yeah,
every generation has the opportunity to do a little better, but you don't escape
yeah,
that piece.
yeah. No, they'll find something. It's know what? Here's it. Let me put it this way: if we had a perfect life, we wouldn't be humanoids. We all have stuff going on every single day. You probably have something that's bugging you today. I don't know if it's a bill, a person. You have something that's bugging you. I have something that was driving me nuts all morning. And then God said, you're always going to have something. Like if you remove that thing there, you just take the lowest one on the priority list and bubble it up. That becomes a thing. So you're talking about wanting to raise a human and not have them have any issues for the entire life.
Right.
That's not even possible in
Yeah.
our
Yeah. Yeah.
right. They're going to have some issues just like you have issues every day.
Right. Right.
But because they're stuck with you for 20 years, whatever, you know what I mean?
But hopefully it's a little better, like every generation is a little better. That's the hope, I think.
Yeah. So my daughter was really pissed off at me for a long time. And I'll go more into this, but I just moved my dad by my daughter because I bought a house. I bought a house by my daughter because she lives in Florida and I
Mhm.
have grandkids. And every time I visit, it's like a hotel. And I'm like, God, if they're going to stay here, I might as well get a condo or something, right?
Mhm.
So that I can have an asset
Yeah.
that appreciates and have a place to go that's mine, that I don't have to be all creeped out, right? Like, where am I going to stay? So I bought a house at the same time my dad was failing. So I moved my dad into the house, not realizing I'm moving my dad right by my daughter. And my dad was like the abuser of the family. At first, it was really bad, horrible. Like, everyone was like, my daughter's like, what did you do to me? I already have two kids, blah, blah, blah. But some magic in this thing. What happened was she's finding out about my childhood, which was like severe abuse. I mean, beyond abuse, right? So she's finding out about my childhood and thinking about being pissed off at me. And somehow through this whole thing, she's forgiven me in the past month, like completely. Like, oh my God. And she said to me, Mom, you forgive this guy? Like, I'm finding out all this stuff. How did you just forgive him? And I said, honey, don't you realize I'm mad at my dad because he didn't wait. You're mad at me because things went wrong in your life. I'm mad at dad because he jacked me up. He's mad at his mom because she jacked him up. His mom's mad at her dad because he didn't raise her right. Like this goes back thousands of years. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Like, what we need to do is start a new generation of forgiveness and love and start over again without all the abuse and anger and poison that we're drinking. You know how they say like a resentment is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. When we start all over again, you can hope and that your new kids that are coming into our family don't have to live in a world of trauma. So it took like a week and she actually repeated it to me as if she was telling me.
Wow.
She was like, grandma or someone else called her in the family and was mad that you moved grandpa near me. And I told them, look, we're either going to start over with a new generation. I'm just like, ugh. I'll let her take credit for this one because as long as she drank that Kool-Aid, we are good. So
Yeah.
they're mad at me.
I often tell patients or sponsees or whatever, I say, it's a very powerful thing to change history. You know,
Yeah.
like breaking the cycle is not a small thing. You're
No.
changing history, like you said, 1,000 years back, and
Yeah.
this is the first generation that you know didn't
See,
do blah blah blah.
yeah. Hmm.
My kids have never seen me take a drink, none of them,
Yeah. Hmm.
and that's never happened in our historical
Right.
family.
Hmm. It's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
I'm sure they're pissed off about something else, but you're right. It's a lighter level. It's
Yes,
something you can actually get through. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Without a lot of therapy. You can get through maybe a little bit of therapy.
What do you think is
Um,
the biggest compliment you've ever received?
the biggest compliment. I like when I'm still kind of perfectly broken, right? So I'm a hard boss. I came from like an aerospace corporate. Well, my dad was kind of militant, of course. And then I moved into 15 years of aerospace, which is like military, right? So I am very hard, very quick. I'm not very mushy. I don't like, oh, see you. I'm just like, hey, did you get that thing done? Because we need it today. You know what I mean? And I'm New York. It's all a ball of crap. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm hard and I don't see it until it comes to a point where I need to see it, right? So I think it makes me feel good when people get me. And it's one of my employees that said, "You are the greatest boss I've ever had. I will never leave."
Oh,
Because it's like she gets it. It's not that I don't care about you or love you. It's just, I'm like Peppermint Patty. I just don't know how to make it soft, Chuck. You know what I mean? I'm just like, ugh. Like,
it's like the acceptance for you. Like she
yeah,
accepts you for this is Lori who she is, and I'm not taking it personal if it's not the warm fuzzy that I'm like craving.
right. You're not going to get the warm fuzzy in the workday. I'm going to be
But I
like, boom,
have seen you
boom,
be
boom,
warm
boom.
and fuzzy with your kids
Yes, I'm warm fuzzy with my kids. And if you
and your
watch them,
grandkids.
oh yeah,
Like I
bomb
haven't
out.
witnessed it, but I'm saying when I see you talk about them like outside of this kind of arena, I see the warm fuzzy Lori.
But what happens is, and one of my boyfriends pointed it out, not one, not like I have a bunch of boyfriends. I have my dog Jake, but when I was dating one, he pointed out, my God, he came over one day, I was still working. You're not even the same person. It's like when we're alone and we're hanging out, you're like goofy and chill and animal flippers and hippie. And then you in your office and you're like hard. He's like, I don't even know if I should be at your house when you're in that mode. Matter of fact, I'm going to wait till you stop working for an hour before I come over. And it's not that I was mean to him. It's just like he didn't recognize me. I
Right.
went right into that aerospace military mode. So if someone works for me and they're making it mean something, which happens a lot in our world, you make everything has a meaning. Oh, Lori's like that because she doesn't like me, or Lori's like
Right,
that because I'm
right.
not doing it good enough. So no, don't make any meaning out of anything. And if you are, come and ask me, is this accurate? And I'll tell you no. But if you were to come up to me straight to my face and say, how do you think I'm doing at my job? Or do you like me? Do you not like? I would tell you the truth. I'd be like, oh my God, yes, I think you're doing fantastic. But you're not going to get it through my words when I'm asking you if you finished that thing that you were working on.
Because they're
Do
separate
you know
from
what I
you.
mean?
Yeah. They're kind of
Yeah,
compartmentalized.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that makes
Left brain,
sense.
right brain.
The other place
Yeah.
I have seen you be warm and fuzzy is with the girls at the house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Tell me
My
about the
favorite thing to
house.
get in the mail. Well, let me just say my favorite thing to get in the mail is letters from jail.
Mm.
Just like pick up a pile of donations and then, oh my God, Orange County Jail. Yes. Read this when I get home. Um, we have a lot of houses. They have 180 beds. So,
Wow.
which house? Or
About
the charity house?
yeah, the charity house. Tell me about that.
Okay, so Vera Sanctuary, I don't know if you know this, but used to be Boys Town.
I
And
didn't know
do you
that.
know what Boys Town? All right, people should download the Boys Town movie. It is so inspirational. It's about a priest. It's a true story. That's how Boys Town all over nationally got founded. But Father Flanagan, played by Spencer Tracy, and Mickey Rooney is the worst kid on the block. And Father Flanagan takes him and two other kids and wants to save them. The rest of the priests are like shutting down on him. No, they're little hoodlums. They've stole from us, blah, blah, blah. He saved those kids, and then he goes on to save, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of kids
Ed talks
since
about Boys Town. Do you know Ed, my business partner, Ed Bloom, Susie's husband?
never met him.
He
Nope.
talks about Boys Town all the time.
All right. Well, you got to hook me in with the Ed then.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I was low key obsessed with Boys Town for years. Like if you went back in my emails to 2005, I was diagnosed with Hep C and told I couldn't work for a year. I wrote an email to my mom, my boyfriend, my doctor, anyone that would listen to me and said, during this year, I'm going to learn how to create a Boys Town. Anyway, the most epic Boys Town site was up here in Trabuco Canyon. It's up a private road to the top of the mountain. And there's views from it's like a 365-degree view down from the mountain because you're at the very top. And there's 4,000 square foot homes with a huge swimming pool. It's like, this should be like a resort that people pay to stay at. But it was Boys Town. And Boys Town was the only good group home I knew of. Like group homes are like a 4-letter to me.
Right, I hear you.
Because I lived in them when I was a kid. But they had a family and they had a different methodology. So I was obsessed with that site. I used to go up there. I used to talk to the counselors. I knew the executive director. They went up for sale when they closed down Boys Town closed down all their buildings. 28 charities bid on it. And it was like, I was the least likely to get it. Every other charity that bid on it was like Olive Crest. I don't know if Orangewood, that's Children's Home. Like all these big, and maybe not Colette's wasn't big, but Olive Crest is huge, right?
Yeah.
And I was teeny, so I didn't want to bid on it. Because it's like, it was going to be a fail. It's like, I'm new, nobody knows who I am, and I barely have any money. And then right about that time, I got a donation for $1 million from someone in the program. And we bid on it and we won it because Father Flanagan took kids like Mickey Rooney, played the bad kid, and put him in charge of everything. And that's what made Boys Town magical, right? It was the kids running it. So because it was foster kid, I got the place, right? So now it's for trafficking victims like I was. We're the only treatment center in the county that provides free treatment to foster kids right now. Wow. Inpatient. Yeah. And also the only treatment center in the county that specializes in human trafficking, the entire site, right? So you might get a site that takes human trafficking victims or has a couple beds, but we're all human trafficking. So we have residential detox, and then the regular residential care. And we take pregnant girls that are addicted and we slowly detox them before the baby's born. We've had over 50 babies born from our site. But the most magical story was the girl who was on the street and she was addicted to fentanyl and methadone. And she was 8.5 months pregnant.
Wow.
Imagine 8.5 months. Methadone alone would have been bad. Fentanyl alone would have been bad. But the combo pack was like, we can't even detox her. If we start to detox her now, the baby's coming out. If we're lucky.
Yeah.
The baby could just die. Yeah. That was the only baby that came out smiling. Came out with a smile on his face. And he didn't have to stay at the hospital. He was born completely normal. Didn't even make sense.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, so we've got the foster kids up there. We've got a home for foster kids that are under 18 that were sex trafficking victims that are going through drug treatment. We've got Pregnant Mama House, the Detox House, and 2 overflow houses up there.
Wow.
The best thing, I think the things we do different is treatment doesn't end when you end your treatment. Now we pay for you to go to school. So we have over 100 employees, and in Orange County, 60% of our employees are girls that we paid their cost for school to be a certified or licensed counselor.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I used to work with this, well, I still work with them sometimes, charity called Consider the Lily, and it's a home in the Philippines. I'll just show you the picture. And they take in trafficked or sexually abused women that they start at like 7 and they go up to 18. And the money that they raise goes for education, attorneys, therapy. So what I was doing was supervising their therapists because
Mhm.
they didn't have any supervision. They didn't know anything about that, you know. So I
Well,
would
that's
meet them
exciting. On Zoom?
on Zoom in the Philippines.
Wow, Zoom has changed our life.
Yeah, it really has. And we would talk about like what was coming up for them for working with these women.
Hmm.
And there's one woman, her name's Josie, and she's like 30s, and she is an American woman who lives there full time and is the house mom for like 42 women in this young girls. They're not women, young girls. But last time I saw Josie, she was here in the States, and she had one of the girls who had gotten into college here in the States, got full scholarship, and was bringing her to take her to college.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It was super cool.
It's a good life.
It really is. And
Hmm.
it's interesting. I don't know. What is the best compliment you've ever received? Did I already ask you that one? What's an
Yeah, that's the
in
one that said I'm a good boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's an insult you received that you're proud of?
When I was at Northrop, nobody knew I was a foster mom. Like my boss knew and my engineers that worked in my team, but nobody like on the in the department. And then when my story came out in People magazine, people realized, oh crap, she was a prostitute.
Oh God.
Pretty high level at that point, you know? It was like a director level, just in the technology portion. So people started ordering my book from Amazon. And some girl that I'd been working with for years walked in my office and sat down and goes, I hated you. And I'm like, what? I thought you liked me. Okay. It's just the opposite of what we usually think. We usually think people hate us and they actually like us. I thought she liked me, which she was like, I hated you. Every time we had something falling out, I come in here like in a panic to get you to fix it. And it seemed like you didn't even care. It seemed like you were like, whatever. You know what I mean? And now I read your book. Shit, I wouldn't care either if I had been through all that. Everything I ever came in here for, we fixed. But I never got the response from you I wanted when I came in. It was like, we'll handle it. Don't worry, I'll fix it.
Yeah.
And I'm panicking, and you're just like, because yeah, how that happened. She's been like, oh my God, we don't have that thing. We need to roll out the. And I'd be like, I got this. And she'd be like, yeah, but. And I'd be like,
It's not that big of a deal.
yeah, it's not that big of a deal. She hated me. And then she read the book and she's like, oh my God. Turns out she was a victim too.
Oh, you're kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But,
So many everywhere, right?
mm-hmm.
You just never know. I've heard people say, and I don't remember the exact quote, but you just don't know what anybody's going through.
Yeah,
You just don't know. And like,
no,
if someone's being rude to you at the bank, you don't know
yeah.
what happened to them. I was at the doctor's a while back, and I walk in and I check in, and this woman is super rude to me at the front desk. And I
Mm-hmm.
start to kind of react, and then I just kind of ignore it and sit down, and but super rude. And then
Yeah.
this family comes in and they don't speak English. And she's like now super frustrated. I could tell she's ready to cry. And I look over and I say, I speak Spanish. Do you want me to translate? And she
Mm-hmm.
goes, oh my God, that would be so helpful. And she just starts crying. I go, don't worry about it. It's okay. And so I start translating. And I thought, the old me would have been like, fuck her. She's being rude to me. I'm not going to, but I just thought, I don't know. It was just like an opportunity. And I really like translating because I used to translate for my grandfather when I was little. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun anyway. It was just so crazy, like the shift in like everybody, the whole room changed just from
Yeah.
like
One
something this
reaction.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about the three I think I know the answer to this, but I want it.
Two?
The
I don't think so. Maybe I've shifted. Three most influential?
people in your life and how they impacted you.
I don't think so. I think you asked me this before, but I don't think it was in your life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Did you ask me in my life last
Yeah,
time you
in your life.
Really? What did I say for that? I'm sure that Abby, can you tell me who I said last time when I tell you?
I would have to think about it, but I I want to say like that the guy who took you to rehab.
Yeah, okay. That's not who I would have answered today. Interesting. Who else?
And I want to say your aunt.
Anyone really did not know my
Yeah.
aunt. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, tell me who it is.
I mean, I had a hard time coming up with it. In my life, maybe Cindy, the girl that I pretended to be, it's throughout my whole book. I was 24 just coming off the streets, and she was 24. She was my boss. And it's not that she wasn't teaching me or anything. I pretended to be her. She was successful. I pretended to be her for years and still sometimes today. Like if I'm so nervous I can't walk into a room, I'll just be Cindy. Right. And if anyone read my book, they know that. Crazy thing is, Cindy had no idea I was imitating her. As a matter of fact, she had no idea I just came off the streets.
Wow.
So it was crazy that Cindy was that much. Because without Cindy, I wouldn't have known what to model. You know, they say fake it till you make it. I wouldn't have even known how to fake it. I was
Yeah.
like, be like, fake what? Like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to act? So she would just existed, and I just became her.
She role modeled for you,
Yes,
like
without knowing.
how to, whatever, how to do
Without
something.
knowing it. Yeah. Handshake, eye contact, um, super energetic, positivity, um, God fearing, not God fearing, but she was, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Um, yeah.
That's one.
And that's one. I think Lloyd, does anybody remember Lloyd from the old Rock Center?
From what?
Rock Center in the 80s.
I don't think so.
The
I
Rock Center in Garden Grove. There
I
was an
remember the
old,
Rock Center in Garden
yeah,
Grove, but I don't remember Lloyd.
there was an old guy named Lloyd, and he was like the grandfather of everything. And he had a calmness in the storm you couldn't imagine. No matter what was going down, Lloyd was chill, and he would sit in the office. And when you were panicking, you'd rush in to talk to him. And he was like God, is what it's like.
Hmm.
It's like if you could be the perfect God, it would be Lloyd.
Wow.
You could walk in there and drop anything onto him. There'd be no response that seems like, oh my God. There'll just be, hmm, okay. And then he'd say something profound, even though it was short. And you just go,
And
so
think
Lloyd,
about it all day.
yeah, Lloyd was super influential. And then I want to say my boss at Northrop, Florence, like she influenced who I am as a business person. And like I said, like I come off hard sometimes. She was hard as nails. She would make grown men cry.
Mm.
But she needed a level of not perfection, but integrity from us and no sloughing off and just getting it done the right way the first time. There are some parts of that are good, right? Because I don't have a lot of leeway for doing it sloppy, right? But it made me a better leader because I'm producing better because of her. She did not put up with anything from me. Like I would create something that I thought was beautiful, like a big presentation, and she'd open with, "What font is that you're using?" And I'm like, font? Like I just wrote this huge thing of
Wow.
perfection, and she's now on my font. Like she'd say, "Fix it, call me back," and hang up on me. And I just say, yeah. So even
But
though
it,
that,
it brought you to a higher bar.
oh yeah, when I produce and send something out of our agency, it has to be perfect. And we've gotten a lot of people saying it was fantastic, but that's a double-edged sword because now if I receive a resume from you and it's different fonts and it isn't aligned and you have overrun sentences and I don't even look at it. I'm just like, no. Because in my mind I say that's how stuff's going to come out of our agency if I hire this person.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exactly the same way. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
little details make me nuts.
Yeah. Like if that's how you're presenting yourself to a job that you want, that's a bad, because that's probably your best. That's your best, right?
Right. That's your,
You really want that job.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're only going to go down from there.
Right. And it's not that I'm judging you, because anyone that knows me that says to me, hey, I'm going to send my resume to this job, I go, stop, send me your resume. I fix it for them so they can get the job. But I also explain to them, you can't send a resume like the 80s, like just a text plop.
Right.
Look at resumes online right now and see what they look like.
And it's so easy to find a sample.
Yeah, well, Word has, like, just go Word, new resume, and it'll give you the thing.
You just copy and paste. I mean, it's so easy. Like, why wouldn't you go the extra mile? I think what it's saying to the potential employer is, I'm not willing to go the extra mile. Just letting you know up
I don't
front.
care. It's saying I don't care.
So then I'm like, okay, well, do I want to hire this person? What is one thing in your, like, in treatment that you believe in that almost nobody agrees with you?
Holy crap. So I don't do a lot of bureaucracy, showing up to meetings and schmoozing. I am not your schmooze. Actually, I hired someone that is perfect for schmoozing, but I'm not that girl. I don't go to a lot of meetings where people will go, like yesterday we were on with a funder and they're like, do you attend the such and such task force meeting? And I'm like, no, I see it as a waste of time. And so, and it goes back to Northrop again. One of my biggest assets was working at Northrop, because the bosses would say, hey, if you don't have your presentation ready and we're all sitting in here trying to get the overhead projector going, how much are we wasting? Is everyone making about $100 an hour in this room? We got 16 people. That's $1,600 an hour. We're up to 4,500 just sitting here. So when I go to a meeting and we're all stroking each other for 2 hours and then leaving with nothing done, I'm just like, we just spent $30,000. You know what I mean? If it's a big meeting, right? And we got nothing done. I can't do it. It all translates to the dollar for me. So someone will go to the meeting, but it won't be me.
Yeah, I get that too. I get
frustrated quick. Yeah. I'm kind of ADD. If you're going on, something that I'm famous for saying, even in my family, if you're going on and on and on about something, I would just sooner rather than later say, land the fucking plane, baby. You know what? I don't have time. I don't have time. Like, land the fucking plane. What are you trying to say? Get it out. Go. Say it. One sentence. And you know where I get it a lot? And so this is the part of me that, we all have our flaws. People will call me to get someone in treatment and they'll start on their life story with me. Yeah, so she lived with her sister and then she was going out with this guy and the guy did this to her. I mean, you probably get this, right? And then
all day.
Yeah. And then he broke up with her and he's an asshole. We don't like him anyway. Anyway, then he did this, then he did that. And I'm like, I'm in for something at work. I'm like, okay, I don't say land the fucking plane to these people, but I do say, you know what? I'm busy right now. You need to get to the point real quick in one sentence, or else I have to call you back later. So then they'll stop and go, my niece needs treatment. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm like, I
get her in today. Yeah.
That's one of my faults too, is that I will say, like, people will call. I actually hired somebody that can listen to people.
Yeah, that's good.
And one time she said, people just want to be heard, DeAnna, and you just shut them down and say, what do you need?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't want to hear them.
Yeah.
We're not at work and I don't want to hear them. So if you're not telling me what you need, I don't want to be here. And she'll like listen for 45 minutes while they talk.
That's how my girl is. That's how my Annie is. She's like she's a gold mine. So she'll listen and they love her and she's very empathetic. After 100 deaths, we become a little worn. You know what I mean? We're not quite as empathetic as we should have been. Like we're more like, if you want to save your life, you're going to do it. I can't do it for you. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are 3 books you'd recommend to the audience?
Definitely my book, and it's not because I'm trying to sell it because I don't make crap on it. It's
which one?
Punish for Purpose. Punish for Purpose.
I bought a bunch of those books at one time and gave them out to all the women in treatment. a couple times actually. And so many people like started following you and going to hear you speak and saying that book changed my life about what is important.
Yeah. It's and the you know what it's the story. So you read the story and the story is the story. But after the story, that's when you embark on my master methodology, which is maintain the belief you could do it, add to it every day, see it like it exists, talk like it already exists, eliminate negative people and build relationships. And the rest of the book, when you're focusing on those things, you how to master anything. And everything I've ever done, my publishing company, my screenplay, my books, my agency, my computer corporation was a result of mastering. So that's important, the lesson. And the next book would be Prayer to Jabez. Have you ever read it?
What is it?
Prayer to Jabez. The Prayer to Jabez, Jabez.
I'm gonna write it
So
down.
I'm a Jew, you know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, A Prayer to Jabez. It's a teeny little book. It probably costs a couple of dollars because it's only like this big. You know what I mean? It's like a teeny little book, A Prayer to Jabez, if you get the right one.
Okay.
And so Jabez is in the Bible and only in one paragraph. And the prayer to Jabez is a prayer that you say when you want to impact the world, right? When you're like us, this is how I use a prayer to Jabez. You're telling God to expand your territory. You're telling him, please use me like we do in the prayer in the program, but now expand my territory, protect me from evil while you do this for me, and give me what I need to do it. And that is, you'll see it in the prayer to Jabez. And it's like a very short prayer. When I started saying it, oh my God, I had no idea what I was in for. But it goes into explanation. It's a little teeny book that would sit on your bathroom counter, but it explains what happened with Jabez when he started doing the prayer.
Oh, wow.
Someone told me to do it earlier in sobriety, and it just blew my life up.
I'm gonna order it today.
Kind of like if you can't meditate, for a long time, people were saying, you need to meditate, and it's like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Me meditate, right? I have learned since, but the prayer to Jabez is like, okay, I can't meditate, but I could do the prayer to Jabez.
And we know, like in science, that so many people learned so many different ways.
Yeah.
And that's kind of your genius, I think, is finding out which way you learned and then helping other people who need that say, oh, try this. This didn't, the traditional thing didn't work for me, but this did. You tried this.
Right. And my new book, Notes to George, I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite books because that would be weird. I'm just working on it. I mean, I like what I'm writing, but I don't read too many books. My other favorite book was Intensity by Dean Koontz. Did you read it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's about a girl that goes college break with another girl from school because she doesn't have a family to go to for the holidays.
Yeah.
So she goes with one of her friends from school to their house for the holiday. And you go on an adventure. You never return to school. Let's just say that. It is the most intense thing. And what happened to her, her parents are dead. She had this traumatic childhood, but it prepared her for what's going to happen when she gets to her friend's house because she is a warrior beyond warriors. Mm-hmm. So it's that. And then I wanted to say something, about the whole prayer to Jabez thing from the new book. What was I thinking about? God, this is why I need my espresso. This is what I do when I get in the morning, 3-4 shots of espresso. I got to take it soon because I'm going to get over the hump, right? That's the morning routine. Drink espresso. Oh, I know what it is. My new book, people say in the meeting, like, when people go, I read pages 6, like they introduce themselves. My name's Drama. I'm an addict. I get up in the morning, I pray, I read pages, I do this, and I'm just like, ugh, that sounds like school. I hated school. Can't do it. But I don't really have these canned prayers to God. My conversation with God is all day long. It's like he's walking by me and I'm saying, you know what? I'm feeling insecure about this conversation later today. And he says, Laurie, always going to have these conversations, actually an opportunity for growth. But I want to call right now and resolve it. But that's you rushing things, Laurie, because, so it's all this, he's constantly in conversation with me. And the new book is about how do you know which voices are yours and how do you know which voices are God?
How do you?
The voice that's God is something I would never say. It's too positive. It comes out of left field. But there are stories in this book throughout the whole book where I listened to something that I thought was ridiculous. Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you asking me to do this? The most powerful story is the nail shop story, which I can't even say in this amount of time, but I can tell you a short one. So when I first wrote the book, I gave the books out to people, right? Just like gave them out, like various people. God would say she needs the book.
Yeah. I've done that with your book too.
Yeah. So I don't question it. I just hand her the book.
Me too.
So one of our girls passed away and we were at her memorial, which was like devastating. I'm friends with their family. It was just like, oh my God. And I'm at the front of the memorial speaking about, her life and blah, blah, blah. When I get down, someone else gets up and goes, my mom died. She always talked about your book. And then when she died, I found your book in the pile of rubbish, in the house. So I brought it home with me. This girl was sober too. And I read it, and I always wanted to be a PhD, like a psychologist. I never would have done it. But then I read your book and I decided to do it. And I'm almost done now. And I can't believe you are a friend of Lily and you're here at the memorial. God told me that day to bring a bunch of books. I'm like, why would I bring a bunch of books to the memorial? But after she said that, I was able to give everyone that was new in recovery a book. So long story short, now Zoe's calling me from the street. She's 11 and a half months pregnant, fentanyl, methadone, and I don't know what to do. So I call my medical director and she says, the only way we can take her is if she goes to see a gynecologist right now and make sure. So we do that. We get the gynecologist, she comes back. Okay, we did it. Well, I've thought about it some more. She has to go to the methadone clinic and get cleared. So I call, I'm like, you got to go to the methadone clinic and get a release. She's like, nobody talks to me at the methadone clinic. It's not like a doctor's office. Finally, she gets something faxed from the front office and we clear that. I tell my medical director again. Then my medical director says, we can take her, but we don't do methadone. We can't do that. We're going to have to do something else. I'm like, oh my God, this is the whole thing. If she doesn't get methadone and we change it right now, the baby's going to die. So I get off the phone. I'm frustrated. And one of my friends that's not in the program, knows nothing about what we do, says, why don't you try and get her treatment by the methadone clinic and just take her every day to methadone? So, and not have your doctor prescribe it. I'm like, why didn't I think of this? So right when this is happening, my phone rings and it's the girl from the funeral. And I'm like, geez, right now? And I'm like, what's up? And she goes, I got a new job because I'm doing my internship for my PhD and I have someone that needs your help. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm working at the methadone clinic. And I'm like, what? Like I have chills all over my body right now, which is Lily coming in from the other side. I truly believe she helped me save this life, even though she's not with us. And I said, what's her name? And she said, her name's Zoe. And I'm like, what? She goes, I was thinking we can move her right by the methadone clinic and I could transfer the methadone clinic to a different one of our partnering agencies. And I'm like, now roll the tape back. This had to start 12 years ago when her mom picked up the book.
Her mom got the book.
She read the book. She wouldn't have found the book. She wouldn't have went to school to be a doctor. She wouldn't have landed this internship. And she wouldn't be there to call me. And if I hadn't met her at Lily's funeral, she still wouldn't have called me. Everything had to go perfectly like it went. It was a 12-year plan to save one life.
So you just never know.
No.
Like if God says, go to this funeral, and you're like, I can't, I have to do da 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 da. And God says, no, I need you to go to the funeral. You have no idea what's going to happen in 12 years.
And when a voice in your head says, bring something that you know you don't need for this thing, you better bring it. Or you're going to know when you get there why you should.
I've learned to do that. Like it doesn't make sense to me, but I've learned to just go do it even if it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And then it's always right. It's never been wrong.
Yeah.
What is one question that you wish I would have asked you, and how would you have answered?
Oh, I thought of something. Wait, I think I wrote it down.
Good.
Oh my God, did I not write it down? Let me look. Hmm. Oh, gosh. Do-do-do-do. Oh, what do I really want to be when I grow up?
What do you want to be
People
when
are
you grow
like,
up?
I miss tech, to tell you the truth, but
I
it's out of
remember
my,
when they asked you to stop working and you were so sad. And I was like,
yeah.
Laurie, this is everyone's dream. And you were like, no, I'm just really sad about this.
My dream was to be like working on computers and tinkering with a screwdriver and, connecting things and making them work. This isn't because I'm not really the soft and fuzzy counselor type. So, but I'm still the leader. But my actual dream, really math when I was a kid, which is the computer engineer part of me. And I was really good in English. And I write books, but my dream is to be writing a TV drama. I have one that I've finished, but it's the process of writing the scenes and letting it unfold and then seeing someone play out your scene and the collaboration of everyone in the room on the scene, right? So to go, what if we had her do this? And you're like reeling it because I'm very visual with my writing. So I'll be there watching that scene in my head. And it's just like, yes. But by using media, which is what we're all on, phones, TV all the time, I can give the world lessons that I've learned in a format that they can swallow.
It's relatable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where can listeners find you online?
Theteenproject.com.
Teenproject.com.
And it's like teenagers, because a lot of people go teen, like TEAM. No, it's not teenagers. It's theteenproject.com.
Yeah, that's awesome. We both know somebody that I brought to Teen Project who
Mm-hmm.
has like 130 days, just completed her phlebotomist course, just got her son back, is
Wow.
going to meetings every day and checking in with me weekly to make sure that are you doing your stuff, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm. Good. I love that. We save lives together.
It's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
You're so awesome to talk to. Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me. And by the way, that couch behind you, please send me where you got that because I'm already in love. I'm
I
like
was
every
just
10
gonna
seconds,
say,
couch,
what's that
couch, couch.
space? I will go to Florida and decorate your house.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I mean, you love my stuff that I
Yeah.
do. That's like
Yeah.
what
I
I
already
want.
decorated. I had to decorate it in a weekend, but that couch, I want it.
That's from Living Spaces.
But it's white leather?
It's pleather or something. But
Yeah, I love it.
when we did the office, everybody got one. Everybody got the
Oh my
same
God, I love
sofa.
it.
And I said, I need the big one because every day at noon I put in use on my door and then I
Mhm.
meditate for 60 minutes. Well, I
Yeah.
meditate and wake up drooling on myself, but
Mhm.
then I can make it through the rest of the day here. So
When did you get it? What year?
the sofa, oh, 3 years ago. But
Oh, it
I'm
might
sure
be there.
I'll look for it and send it to you.
Oh, great. All right.
Do you
I
want
love
the
that.
smaller one or the bigger one?
Send me both. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Love you, lady.
Love you. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Stating the obvious with New Method Wellness.